Okay, well, welcome everyone from ATI. I'm so thrilled that you're all here with us. So this is going to be a wonderful introduction for our Costello College of Business students to learn more about the company and then how you all got to where you're at. And then maybe we'll get to some advice that you have for our students. So let's start with Mandy. If you could go ahead and just kind of give us an overview of ATI and then kind of the specific division that you work in.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks, Kelly, for this opportunity to share. So ATI helps the government access innovative technologies to solve their most critical national security needs across a wide range of areas, from aviation to armaments to biomedical to shipbuilding. We do this by building research and development collaborations whose members are innovators and leading academics, seasoned and emerging technologists, small and large businesses, traditional and non-traditional contractors, and nonprofit organizations. So our members have expertise in a variety of technical areas, and ATI assists the government in accessing those innovators and in turn assists those members in accessing undiluted federal funding. So when the government chooses to award funding to innovators, ATI manages the contractual and financial obligations on behalf of the government. So we have a full-scale contracting and finance shop, and in fiscal year 2024, we processed over 15,000 invoices and executed 950 project awards and subcontracts. So ATI is a nonprofit headquartered in Summerville, South Carolina, which is just outside of Charleston. Our 370 employees include IT professionals, event planners, tech scouting professionals, marketing and communications professionals, and program and project managers, in addition to our full contracting and procurement teams. So our CP team, our contract and procurement team, supports prime and subawards throughout their life cycles. The responsibilities that we have can entail supporting the solicitation cycle, performing cost analyses, negotiating and administering awards, performing closeout actions, and opportunities to resolve complex issues. I and my colleagues on this panel here with us today, we all have varying career journeys that have landed us where we are today, and we are excited to talk more about that.
Okay, well, that's a perfect segue. So we're just going to go in. I'm going to go down the line as I see you guys before me here. Of how did you get your start? What is your position there? And kind of a little bit about your background. So Nadia, I'm going to start with you. You are next on my screen here.
Thank you. So my start in business kind of was completely opposite of ATI. I worked for a pretty large telecommunications company for 12 and a half years, and would probably still be there today if had they not shut down their center here. So I had the option to either move or take severance. I chose to take my severance, and just kind of look for something else because it really wasn't a good fit. But in business, sometimes it's you weigh the benefits were great, the pay was great. So, and it was what I was used to at that point. So that was just where I was going to be for the duration. So I left there, still didn't find ATI at that point. I went into I was working for a software company who created software for nonprofits. So I did like the work itself, but the company, had some things to be desired for what my needs were. And I ran into someone who worked here that I used to work with at the first company I was with, and she just couldn't stop raving about ATI and what a great company it was. I had never heard about it before. And I applied, she referred me, I applied, and I was hired in a completely different position. And the position that I was hired in, I worked in that position for about 30 days and then, was asked if I was interested in coming over to contracts. Had no prior experience in either position. And I just felt like it would be a good fit based on, people that I'd spoken to, and I was right. So I'm glad that I ended up coming over to contracts. No day is the same. I'm never bored. I work on a pretty large program, so I always have something to do. And like I said, no day is the same. If I feel like something's getting tedious, I can just move to something else for a short period of time and then, go back to it. So um it's very rewarding work. The program that I work on is a naval program in the Sea, Space, and Air Division. So we work directly with the Naval Warfare Center. And so it feels good to be able to see the work that we help facilitate in action on a daily basis. So it's very rewarding work.
Perfect. And I love that experiences where, you were talking about kind of having, maybe you would still been with the same company or not have left. And certainly I've experienced that where I was working for a company, they lost funding. My position was being eliminated due to the loss of funding. I had been there for years and years and probably would, have stuck around, not because for me personally, it wasn't necessarily where I ultimately should have been long term. And so it was kind of this nice opportunity for me to pivot into something. And this is all happening at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, where that master's program was not what I thought it would be. So thank you for that. Jameson, you are next on my screen. So we are going to go to you. If you could talk about what your role is and then kind of how you came to be at ATI.
All right. Yes, I'm currently a subcontractor administrative too. As a part of this contracts and procurement team, my role is directly supports and execution and ultimately the success of technology development consortium sponsored by the government agencies. Tasks range from processing subawards to managing closure of paperwork, ensuring every project aligns with the regulatory standards and that's the budgets and the performance goals. What led me to ATI? It was relocation. It was pretty much, it was like a family change. It was a family change. When I say that, is pretty much, I recently just got married. My wife, she actually was staying here in South Carolina. I was staying in North Carolina at the time. So in order to make it work, somebody had to had to make the move. So it was me. So I previously worked in the banking industry. It was from at least 7 to 8 years. Um, I got super comfortable at certain times. I wanted to go back to the banking industry, but my wife persuaded me, "Hey, you need a career change. You didn't love it." And that's one of the things that I really voice a lot when it comes to her when giving her advice. Hey, do you love what you do? And she always hit me with my same words. So basically, I gave government a shot. I was working at a job. It was pretty much a branch of the government, and I love the field of work that I love my work. The only thing I didn't like about it, it wasn't a good fit for me, less culture wise and environment wise. I know me, my personality is a little bit, it can be very spontaneous and, I like to laugh. I like to joke around. But one thing I could say about ATI culture, it pretty much just matches mine. So I'm super happy that I'm even a part of ATI. Just to go back where I was at, I searched, well, before I even moved here, I searched so much for just government work. Um, one of the funniest things, I never seen ATI until I actually started working at my last government job. But when I started working at my last government job, ATI had an advertisement that popped up, and I seen it, and I was like, "Oh, I should give them a shot," but never did. As Nadia stated, when you get when you just get comfortable and it's just one of those things where I'm getting up in age, so I'm really I don't want to really say this, but I hate change at certain times, but I'm getting accustomed to change. But I'm glad I did. I was accepted to change, and I was referred to by a family member. A family member worked here, less than 2 months, and when I say he promoted ATI like no other, I literally thought you would think he was working here for more than 3 years, and that's when I went back to LinkedIn, and I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. And if you know, ATI is very active on LinkedIn also. So yeah, I gave it a shot. Maybe it didn't happen the first time, it didn't happen the second time, but the third time was a charm. And also, and one of I think the icing on the cake for ATI was I never ever seen the awards for top place to work at any job I was actually working at, and I think ATI speaks for himself. That's just pretty much how that goes. But yeah, that's how I'm here.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Mandy, I have you up next on my screen if you want to talk about your journey.
Yeah, so I'm currently a director within our contracts and procurement department. So I'm really at this point supporting our team and kind of working with various audits, and whether it's internal, external auditors, and just helping support several overhead projects. So similar to what Nadia said, no 2 days are the same. Always looking at something different. So it keeps things interesting. So I graduated college in 2008, which was in the middle of the recession. So it was kind of difficult to find a job. I did end up finding one at a local small tax and payroll firm, and I was there for about a year before it went out of business. So it was still the time of the recession. So it was, again, still difficult to find a job. And at that point in time, I had applied for nearly every entry-level administrative position that I could find. I ended up finding one for a contracts administrator at a different government contractor. And after 6 years of being there, I wanted to change. But because of my familial ties to the military, I still wanted to stay in the government contracting space. I came across a senior contracts administrator role at ATI. I read about ATI, the mission, and was very intrigued and felt compelled to apply. So I did, got an interview, and I have been here now for over 9 years. And I thoroughly enjoy the team here, the work. It just personally makes me feel fulfilled at the end of the day, knowing that there's something bigger that I'm contributing to.
I love that. Christian, I have you next on my screen. If you want to talk about kind of what your role is and how you got there, that'd be great.
Yeah, name's Christian May. I'm a contracts administrator at ATI. I've been here for just under 6 years now. But my journey at ATI is actually pretty short. I joined right after college. So I graduated in 2018 from the University of South Carolina. And I was originally going to I wanted to become an attorney, go to law school afterwards. But really, the biggest thing I learned in school is that I didn't want to be a lawyer. So wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to live in Charleston. And I had a buddy who had a friend that was familiar with ATI and told me kind of what they did. Still wasn't really sure what it was based on what he said, but I was interested. I had a brother in the military at the time. So being able to get my foot into the professional world and also support the warfighter was just a perfect opportunity for me. Got the job at entry level position and have not looked back since. It's just been an incredible journey. And now I'm finally kind of taking on more responsibility and being a supervisor and everything like that. But yeah, that's all I've got.
What was your undergrad in?
Political science
Okay.
and minor in history.
Okay.
So learned I didn't want to be a lawyer and not in politics.
Right. Well, experience is the best teacher, right? So have
Yep.
to kind of figure it out. Yep, have been there. Ron, I have you next on my screen if you want to talk about your story.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron. I'm a senior subcontracts administrator here. I've been with ATI for 3 years now. I have a similar role as Jameson. Responsibilities include administering, negotiating, and monitoring all aspects of the subcontracts, which include facilitating activities from solicitation, pre-award, post-award, throughout the life cycle of the contract all the way through to closeout. Some of the daily tasks include reviewing project agreements and analysis of cost proposals, working closely with our program team regarding project funding and budgeting issues, as well as supporting contracts managers and some of the prime contracts. My professional career was all in retail. And similar to Jameson, I relocated here in the Charleston area, which required a new career. And basically didn't know what I wanted to do, but I didn't want retail. Kind of wore all the different responsibility hats and where I was before, and felt like, you know what, I want support role and less responsibility. And my lesson there was be careful what you wish for. I worked at an entry-level position, had no responsibility. It was great people, but not a team learning environment, wasn't developing any skills or anything like that, and soon realized that that's not what I want. That is not for me. So, you know, I need a purpose. I want to be challenged. I want to learn new skills, and you know, want to earn those small wins each and every day. To have that sense of accomplishment, identifying problems, challenges, and being a part of a solution. So ultimately, that's why I chose ATI. I felt like the role provided all of those things. It's, as previously mentioned here, the positive team environment is just incredible. Again, challenges, it's been mentioned already, but every day is not the same. And that's one of the great things that just when I feel like I've got it all figured out, something new comes up and learning something new and some new skill. And then also the work-life balance, you know, being in the retail world before, there was not a lot of that, pretty crazy schedule. And ATI really promotes that work-life balance, and also the opportunity to advance as well. You know, after being in my previous career, you know, I started here at ATI at a very entry-level position, so I wanted to make sure that I would have an opportunity to be able to progress and learn and move up. So that's where I'm at, and absolutely love being here.
Yeah, and you make me want to apply there, you guys.
Yeah.
Taylor, you are next. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so what led me to ATI? I'll start there. I was going into my junior year of college, and as part of my undergrad business programs requirements, internship was one of those. So you had to have an internship, successfully completed as one of the requirements. And at the time, I attended the College of Charleston. And their career center there, you know, posted internships, positions, part-time jobs, things of that nature, which is how I actually learned of ATI. So through online or connections through my business school, if you will, and I wasn't familiar with ATI at the time, so I did a little research. I really wasn't sure where or what I wanted my career to be in or where it would be at. I was, you know, getting a business degree and was kind of open there. So I knew I wanted my internship to be fulfilling and provide, you know, some true experience and exposure to the workplace. And when I learned a little bit about more ATI, really just from their website, and seeing what the core values were and the overall mission of the organization, you know, ultimately with impacting the day-to-day of the warfighter, and facilitating with that, with the government customers and industry members. I was very intrigued. Still didn't fully understand what ATI did, so don't let that scare you. Take some time to really understand and learn what all we do as an organization. But I took the internship, needless to say. And I may have the opportunity to talk a little bit later during this about my career path in detail. But I took the internship, and 10 years later, here I am in a contracts manager role. And I'm currently overseeing, I've had the great opportunity to see many of our programs from the contractual side, both, you know, FAR-based, non-FAR-based, with our medical division, our armaments division. I'm currently overseeing a team of about 10 contracts folks within our medical division is what we support. And like everyone else said today, on the line, no one day is the same, which keeps things certainly interesting. But I'll stop there and share a little more later, hopefully.
So Taylor's takeaway is to always connect with your career services department at the business school, right? That's awesome. That's perfect. So my question then I'm going to pose to a few of you. It sounds like we've all kind of got a different journey. We didn't obviously all start in the perfect role or with the perfect background. We're talking about I started in law, or I thought I wanted to do law and decided it was not for me, and that kind of stuff. So at Costello, we all have a major in business, and then we focus on different concentrations like management information systems or finance, accounting, operations, supply chain, business analytics, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm posing the question to some of you. Is there, I don't want to say the perfect major, but what would be some background coursework or, a degree or something that would really help people get their foot in the door in terms of this specific division, right? So it's kind of the contracting and procurement realm. So I'm going to pose this to, let's say, Ron, you first, then Jameson and Nadia.
Yeah, so I think one of the unique things that I learned here at ATI is that there are so many of us from such a variety of backgrounds. So I don't know that I would say it's a specific degree, but the skill set of communication, um, being able to work with a team, being agile as one of our core values, being able to adjust. As it's been mentioned, you walk in one day with a plan, and then all of a sudden something comes up, and you've got to adjust. And we surge. We've talked about a variety of programs that we support, and it is not uncommon to have to surge and help other programs. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for me, is to follow that ATI core value of agility.
Okay, Jameson.
All right. For one, I don't think it's an ideal degree that you would need to have. For me, I'm a business major. And things can change. So I don't think it's no primarily certain degree that you have to have. One thing I could say about ATI as a whole, culture wise, culture ATI is very unmatched. As long as you come here and you're primarily looking for just far as teamwork. I can really say that everybody is ATI as a family as a whole is really based off of teamwork. That's what I'm gonna leave my answer with there.
Okay, Nadia.
Basically, like Ron and Jameson said, I don't know that there's a specific major that would be recommended. Definitely just some skill set wise. Organization is key. You definitely have to be organized because, like we all said, there are no day is the same. So we may have 5 different tasks that we're supposed to do. Each of them have a different time frame. Each of them have, different priorities. So just being able to organize and prioritize kind of where you want to be. And then just basic things. We do use a lot of Excel. We use a lot of Microsoft Suite. So just those basic skills are definitely good to have. I'm still learning new things every day because there's so many things you can do in Excel or Word or what have you. I might look over someone's shoulder and I'm like, wait, how did you do that? So that's a great skill to come in with, obviously. And that's just basically it. I would say organization and the ability to prioritize, work independently. Although, we have great managers that support us, the goal is to be able to come in and look at your workload and determine what you need to do for the day. So
I love it. And I
don't
love
think
that you
there's
guys,
a specific goal.
yeah, I love that you spoke to also I hear across the board kind of the culture of ATI and how it was. Sometimes you go into a job and you don't know what to expect and whether it's going to be a good fit or not. And that sounds like you've all found kind of that to be a really positive, whether it was unexpected or not. Mandy, my next question is for you. This is going to be, what type of entry-level jobs would you find kind of at ATI for, maybe recent grads? And is there any background that's useful for that?
So for ATI, typically our entry-level positions are going to be assistant subcontracts administrators, or even a purchasing administrator. And there is not a specific skill set beyond what others have already mentioned with respect to, teamwork and organization, and just keeping an open mind with learning and picking up new things. And it's certainly a different field than, with being in the government contracting space, just because it's not going to medical school or law school or something of that nature, where you're really honing in on a skill that you're going to take into your planned career. So I know that there are professional certificates that are available, but they're certainly not required to have. And as others have mentioned earlier, we've had a wide variety of paths that our employees have taken. And just to kind of reemphasize that, I mean, we've heard from our panelists here today, but also say even from other members within our department, we have former teachers, former law enforcement, former sales reps, coaches, and so on. So it's there's not a one size fits all to get into the government contracting space.
Yeah, and it sounds like some of you were saying too, like took me a while to wrap my head around what ATI did even after I got the job. And so it sounds like there's kind of different pathways that you can certainly take in there and learn as you go. One of my questions was going to be describe your typical day or week, but it sounds like from what all of you are saying is maybe there's not a typical day that you have to be prepared to pivot at a moment's notice. Like you could have a whole idea around, I think it was you who said it, of here's what I planned on doing today. Oh, this came up, so now we'll just be pivoting. And so I'm imagining that would be a really strong skill to have, right? Is the ability to kind of let go and address what needs to be done. Is there anything anybody wanted to add to the typical day? Is there a typical day or anything like that? Nope, covered it. There is no such thing as typical
That
day.
mostly covered it. I mean, we're pretty much just facilitating the process of the military need all the way to getting a prototype developed, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that's a really long process. So it's essentially just kind of filling it in where we need to, working with the government, working with our consortium members. Yeah. I mean, when you're first starting out, it's, I think, mostly drafting mods, doing cost analysis and everything like that. And then as you progress, you'll take on more responsibility, still doing those things, but also working with the government directly a lot more, and managing that prime contract that Mandy referenced earlier.
Okay. My next question is for Taylor. Taylor, I have a question for you. That would be, I know that you said you found out about the position through career services, through your school. What would be the best way for students to find out about openings at ATI? And then what advice would you give them for kind of securing a position there?
Yeah, certainly. So, pretty quick answer, hopefully, for how to find out about positions at ATI. So all of our positions are posted on our website, ati.org, under the careers page there. So definitely a good place to look. I'd also encourage anyone who's interested now or maybe could be interested in the future to follow us on LinkedIn. We also post all of our open positions there as well. And then in addition to that, on George Mason's career page, you can also look there too as well to see open internship possibilities or open positions, which hopefully could point you back to ATI as well. And then advice, I would just say, well, I'll share a little bit more about my career briefly. I know we don't have all the time in the world, but as I mentioned earlier, I started as an intern, really just looking to kind of check a box, to be honest. I did want to get something out of it because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. When I got out of college, I was going for a business degree and was kind of gonna play it by ear and see where I found myself. I knew, like Christian said earlier, I wanted to stay in the Charleston area. So that's kind of what pointed me towards ATI, being local in that area, and an organization that really seemed to be mission focused and driven, with some core values that were really important to me. And after my internship, I stayed on as I finished my undergraduate degree I stayed on with ATI in a part-time position. And it was flexible, around my school. Of course, there's different avenues and different times when, we can accommodate that. But all in all, I kept finding myself thinking, man, I really could make a career here. I was just so intrigued in the overall mission and the impacts that this organization, was making on a day-to-day, for our government customers, as well as our industry members and consortium members, really honed in and focused on that research and development aspect of and improving their technology ultimately for the warfighter. So it's where I found myself 10 years later. I have had a great, I can't even put it into words, opportunity here at ATI. I've gotten so much experience and exposure, across contracting and what that looks like, or can look like. We often say, once you've seen one contract, you've seen one contract. And that could not be more true. So there's always new opportunities for learning and improvement. And, over my 10 years here, I've, been offered new positions or promotions, and worked my way, down my career path or up the chain, if you will. So there really is the career path and journey and growth possibilities are almost endless. So I just end with that.
Yes, that's perfect. So what advice, and I'm going to ask the rest of you this as well, what advice do you have for students, kind of like, what do you know now that you didn't know then? I know that I sense a theme of kind of just go for it. We talk about experience being the best teacher, and you don't have to have it all, the next 10 years planned out as soon as you graduate. But what advice would you have for current college students?
It would be to, the advice I would give is to be open. It's okay to be uncomfortable, I would say, and not, be the one who knows it all. ATI really, as long as you can follow the directions you're given, you're a hard worker, and you can utilize your own strengths and resources that are provided to you here at ATI. You can do great things, is what I would say, and be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like I said, knowing you're not going to know it all the day you walk in the door, maybe even 6 months later, maybe 10 years later. We're always learning, and there's always someone here who can help, and we really focus on that teamwork. So be open and ready to learn.
Right. Nadia, I'm going to go to you. You're next on my screen. What advice do you have for college students?
Just basically the same thing you've indicated kind of a couple of times throughout here, which is you don't have to have it all figured out now. It's rare that, somebody graduates college and gets the job that is going to be the perfect fit for them. And it's, obviously awesome if that does happen in that way for you, and that's the goal. But if it doesn't, you're not behind the ball. It's completely normal. And then just try to find something where you can utilize your strengths, whatever those are. And hopefully it's something that's meaningful to you, and something that you want to get up and you don't mind getting up and going to every day.
Right. Like that saying that work shouldn't feel like work, right? If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Yep. Perfect. Jameson, you're next.
For me, it'd be networking. it isn't just job hunting. It helps you discover opportunities, gain mentorship, and learn about other paths you may never consider. College is one of the few places where you're surrounded by expert and motivated peers all in one space. Those connections can open doors long after graduation. Reason and just my personal experience. I'm a coach outside of actual ATI, and one thing I noticed. I went to school with a guy. He was actually he became a head coach at a high school and didn't even apply. He hired me straight on. He just wanted me to say yes, and just pretty much hired me. And just networking is very important.
Okay, and I actually heard that theme when at least half of you were talking. I knew somebody who worked there, right? That was my foot in the door, and then work those connections. And Jameson, I think you had said that you were popular or on LinkedIn, or that you were certainly
Yeah,
following it a lot.
I'm not
Very
popular,
active.
active.
Well,
Active.
okay, but yeah, active on LinkedIn. But I think that that goes along with that networking ticket too, right? And that's certainly the advice that we give students when they come to our office and they say, I've applied for 100 jobs and I haven't heard anything. And I say, did you customize your resume? Did you write a cover letter? And who have you been networking with there, right? And there's some piece of that that's often missing. So that's perfect. Mandy, go ahead.
So I would say bet on yourself. And similar to networking, keeping your mind open to opportunities because they may be more fulfilling than you might be expecting. So that's what I have found in government contracting. It is not a field that I ever considered, when job searching, but when the chips are down and you're in a recession, you're looking for a job, and that's what happens to open up. There you go. And I've really enjoyed it.
I love that. Christian, how about you?
I would just say don't panic. It's easy to compare yourself to other people or what you think you should be at, but things don't always go the way they're supposed to, and you never know where you're supposed to really end up. And yeah, I mean, that's really all I've got. If you can do internships, though, I think that's a really smart idea. Get involved as early as possible and just try to get an idea of what you're doing. And then a lot of companies, I think nowadays are hiring the person. I know ATI does. They hire the person, not necessarily the background. So be confident, practice your interviewing skills, and I think you'll be all right.
Perfect. Ron?
I love what Christian just said. I totally believe that ATI hires the person. That's a great way to say it. And I don't have a lot to add because a few of these things have been mentioned already, but I definitely believe in put yourself in uncomfortable situations. I think that's the way to challenge yourself. If you're comfortable, you're probably not moving, you're probably not learning. So I agree with Taylor and the fact that you need to be uncomfortable, and that's how you're going to continue to grow and learn. And again, to touch on Jameson, the networking, reach out and to your support team. It's surround yourself with great people and reach out to them. And I know that I've done that here just in my short few years here at ATI. I'm constantly reaching out to my peers, leadership. Everyone is very responsive and supportive.
I love that. And I hear a theme. I had another employer say that they would hire character over competence. And because I can develop that person, I can give them the hard skills that are needed for this job, but I need somebody who can pivot and who's a team player and has kind of a go with the flow attitude and all that kind of stuff. So I think that certainly pops up a lot. So we have networking. As Taylor said, you should totally connect with your career services department, right? To find those opportunities. We are here to help you. But I can't thank you all enough for your time. And I appreciate it. This will definitely help our students kind of, again, from everything you've said, that networking piece, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to pick the perfect major. Experience being the best teacher, right? You can try that. And I think, Christian, you had said too about the importance of the internships and kind of pivoting from your own undergraduate degree and deciding, as I certainly did halfway through my master's program, this is not what I want. This is not what I thought it would be. And it's okay. Right? We've all been there. You can totally change, and it can still work out for the best. So thanks again, everybody, for your time. I really appreciate it, and take care.